trying to like, all right, in my head, I'm like, all right, when am I going to call his, I knew that they were probably busy during the game. So I'm like, I'll work the locker room and then I'll call the bar and hope that one of his parents pick up. And so I'm doing all this and I'm not paying attention to the game. And then all of a sudden I look at Twitter and I see about 15 things that I missed. And that happens a good amount, especially when I was a deadline writer at the Star Tribune. Third period, that's when you're really writing. There are times all of a sudden somebody will be like, hey, where's Koivu? And you're like, I didn't even know Koivu wasn't playing. So that's where it works out well. And then as I mentioned, as I think you just mentioned, is that it's really valuable in terms of, I'll be honest. I mean, that's how I got the Charlie Coyle scoop. Somebody randomly sent me a direct message and just said, hey, I think Charlie Coyle's bag was just taken off the equipment truck. That's how it all started. And same thing, picture Bruce Boudreau and Craig Leopold eating dinner. I mean, that means nothing. It's good intel for me to know. And so that stuff, it's really helped. And then, I mean, it sounds awful, but the building of the brand, that's why a lot of old school players don't like it, because it's a lot of me guys. I mean, Dustin Byfuglien's one of those guys. He hates social media, hates the way the young kids use it to sell themselves, and things like that. And but from my perspective, it's really helped sort of the brand. I remember years ago, I think she's still in the marketplace, Fiona Quick. She's the one that, like, right away, like when Twitter was invented, she's like, you need to get on this. And I'm like, what is Twitter? Why would I ever use this? Why would I want to give my information right away? And then all of a sudden, it's like I'm on Twitter, and it's become the way of life, which at times can become exhausting. There is never a time that you could sort of unplug. You just look at Twitter and somebody asks you a question, now you're thinking about the Wild again, which is why, Mother, I get tired of the 10 p.m. texts about the Wild. Anyway.
So good question. Yeah. I appreciate it. Hey, I want to tell you about a couple of ways to get good food. One is you can come to Tin Shed, tinshedmn.com. Go on the website, and it's 12250 Zinran Avenue. Number is 952-736-2444, but of course we're all web-based these days. Just go there and you can Google it. And they do have carry-out and delivery services. You can order online and get the food that way. If you don't live near Tin Shed, we do recommend using Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. Use the Bite Squad app. Upload your information. It just makes everything very easy. Use the promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery fee waived, and just keep using Bite Squad after that, because they make life really easy. So thanks to both of those companies for supporting the show. Reminder, October 1st, 7 o'clock, the next live show at Tin Shed in Savage, tinshedmn.com. Yes, sir.
Just a question on Donato. I think last week we talked a little bit about...
I was just looking at his Instagram.
Knowing a little bit about, he was going to move him to center and give him a shot there.
Mm-hmm.
What are your first impressions of last night?
Work in progress. I thought there were times early in the game that he looked a little bit out of place, but then he won a couple battles in the corner. They had one good shift in the first period. That was it. That line. One good shift with about 5 minutes left, and then it actually triggered about 3 or 4 good shifts in a row. And then I thought he got much better as the game went along. He won some draws. I think he wound up above 50% on draws in the game. It's a work in progress. I mean, he grew up playing center, but he hasn't played it really as a professional, and so he's getting into that spot. And it's a bit of a quandary for Bruce Boudreau, because it's right now the way Eriksson Ek's playing in camp, he probably should be in that spot. But then now all of a sudden, if you do that, you're putting Donato on the fourth line, most likely. And so I don't think that he wants to take a guy that's not the greatest defensively and not the most physical and throw him in that fourth line role. We'll see how this continues. It's just an interesting experiment right now. I get why Bruce is doing it. It really does actually fix some things by putting Cunnin at right wing. But we'll see if this stuff continues.
Good question. Thank you. Let's buzz through some Twitter questions. Oh, actually, you're here. You get to ask.
So if Koivu ends up on the fourth line this year, are we still going to see him get paired up against teams' top lines like he was before the injury? Because it didn't matter who it was, whatever line he was on. Sidney Crosby is out there. Who cares? It's Mikko Koivu. He goes and you hear all these interviews with these people, and he's just a pain to play against.
Well, as Tony back there has written for us, I mean, you look at his numbers against top lines and what he does to stifle these, opposing teams and their abilities to take shots. It's hard to just stop that. And that's why I just still have trouble believing that Bruce is just going to pull the plug and not use him in big situations. What you ask is a great question. I mean, we're going to have to see how this goes early in the year. I mean, the Wild have 13 of their, I know I keep on sounding like a broken record, 13 of their first 18 on the road, the first 3 against big division opponents. You're telling me that Mikko is just not going to play a big role in those games? I've said it for as many years. I mean, the problem with the Wild is that they still don't have that center that on the road you can match up against another team's stud center. And I still think that Mikko's going to have to play a big part of that. So we'll see. A lot's going to be up to his body and how he looks in these games. But I think Mikko's still going to be a significant player on this team, whether he starts in that fourth line or not. So,
and then real quick follow-up too here.
Yeah.
So early in camp, there's been one game so far. But is there a player that you think will make the team that shouldn't? And is there a player that you think should make the team that is probably not going to?
Well, I think that Mayhew should be on the team, and I think that Brown and Rask have I think Brown's probably gone. It's just an easy boot off the team, no biggie. I think Rask is here. 3 years of $4 million left. I mean, I suppose what does it matter if you're paying him $4 million here or $4 million in Iowa? But that's still hard to do. But man, it's just unbelievable. There's not a GM in this league that would have made that trade. Not one in this league. Let me promise you. It was just such a ridiculous trade, and from the moment it was done, you knew it. It was just this guy. Who usually doesn't do well in those skate tests as bad as he did the other day? Minor leaguers, the Pat Cannonis, the Victor Bartleys, those guys. He's just I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll fool us and he'll a couple injuries and he'll get in a position where he could succeed on this team. But man, I mean, it's just amazing that he earned that contract in Carolina and that they actually found somebody that was willing to take it. So we'll see. I can promise you Billy Guerin's trying to pull a miracle out of the hat and trade him. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I do know that he's talked to other teams about him. So
good question. Let's buzz through some Twitter questions from our friend Mary. She asked a bunch of stuff that you've already answered, but she asked, why does the NHL charge full price for preseason games?
Wow.
It's an obvious answer. I just thought I'd throw it out in front of you.
Yeah. I mean,
and by the way, Cheryl,
I'm not saying your question's wrong, Mary, but we know why.
We know why. These people pay it.
It's just a revenue.
It's a revenue stream, absolutely. By the way, I also want to congratulate a member of this network, Cheryl Reed from the Lynx, is named the WNBA Executive of the Year. It's been a blast to work with her. She's fantastic and does a great podcast as well as being great at her job. Let's see. So, from Minnesota sports fan living in Texas, do you think Pavelski didn't sign in Minnesota because Fenton was the GM and he had heard horror stories?
No, I just think on a 2-year deal, he just thought Dallas has a much better chance of winning a cup in those 2 years. Or 3 years. I can't even remember what he got. 3 or 2?
Let me see.
3. And so I think that's the reason. And I will say...
3 year.
What's that?
3 year.
Yeah. And I will say that I think that it was just one of those things where he looked at the organization and, there's the perception out there that Billy's trying to end, that there are locker room issues and things like that. And I think that he just decided at the end of the day that Tampa and Dallas were two teams that he was more intrigued by, and he chose Dallas over Tampa.
Yes, sir.
Look at that shirt. Wow.
How
you like that?
Yeah. Marion Gabrick and Cliff Ronning on a T-shirt here. Old school.
So, just like your thoughts on Drew Stafford, and the possibility of him making the team.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely hurt Jerry Mayhew's chances. I like Stafford a lot as a person, but two as a player. I still think that he could play. I still think he could play. To me, like last night, I forget who number 5 is on Dallas, but he walked him at the blue line and skates in and set up Spurgeon for what easily could have been the go-ahead goal. So he still's got game. He's big. He's physical. I thought he skated well last night. I think he deserves to make the team over Rask and Brown too. I still would rather Mayhew on the team just because to me he should, he's young and he's offensive, and I think he deserves a shot, and I don't know what more he could prove in Iowa. The other thing with Stafford is he's going to have to decide if they offer him a contract whether or not he's going to take a two-way deal. I think that would be the only way that he'd get a job on this team is to accept a two-way. And then the other thing that is a problem that, again, I don't know why the Wild signed Cody McLeod, but they put themselves at the veteran max. You could play 6 veterans, what are deemed veterans in the AHL, and Cody made the 6th guy. So now if all of a sudden Brown is down there, or if all of a sudden Rask is down there, or if Stafford is down there, Tim Army, if everybody's healthy, is going to have to have essentially a rotation of every night sitting a good player. But I talked to Tim Army about this yesterday, and he said that he spelled this out to Cody when he signed him, that look, you can come on an AHL deal, but you might not be able to play ever. Or you might, I'm going to have to play our guys over maybe you, and so. But that really could affect whether or not you put if Drew Stafford knows that he could potentially wind up in Iowa and not play or be scratched, is he going to do that? So.
Well, and I just see him as an option on the power play, a right-handed shot as well.
Yeah, but who's he going to play over? If they're healthy, you're going to have a first unit of let's just say it's Zuccarello, Stahl, and Parisi up front with Dumba and Suter. I mean, you now have a second unit of you have Zucker, you have Fiala, and you have Donato, 3 skilled guys. We're not even talking about Cunnin and Greenway. And you want Spurgeon back at the point. So can one of those forwards maybe play the point? We've seen Zucker do it. He's not good at it. I can't imagine Donato. That's where you want him. And has Fiala ever done it? I don't know. But if you go with a 4-forward second unit, still is that Stafford? I don't know. I doubt it. I think if you're going to go in that situation with a righty, I'd rather Cunnin there. So he's probably, if this team's healthy and he's willing to sign and makes the team, he's probably going to be a 13th forward that comes in and plays the 4th line every now and then. So.
Thank you.
Your questions, thank you. From Danny Wheelock on Twitter, is Dubnyk the starting goalie, and will we see any goalies other than Dubnyk and Stalock?
I mean, no, Dubnyk's the starting goalie.
Just thought Yep. Let's see, from Nate C. Nope, we're not going to ask that one. From John Sonderby, what are your thoughts on Fenton? He's kidding. From Patrick Gage, who will hold their value better through the end of their contract, Spurgeon or Suter?
I think that Spurgeon probably is going to age better. I mean, Suter's he's probably at some point here going to slow down. Although he plays a pretty mechanical game, but my guess is Spurge.
Let's see, Paul Fentod. There are a lot of weird. We have to blame Russo Slacks. There are a lot of really weird people following us on Twitter right now. Slacks asked a question about Kaprizov. You can groan. Okay, from Kevin Luckow. I saw Kevin at the Saints thing the other day. Do you see Guerin addressing the chemistry issues of the past between the vets and the young guys, or is it up to the players?
Well, it's definitely up to the players, but Guerin has gone in there and made it extremely clear that it needs to be a team-first atmosphere and that the best teams in the league, it put the individual stuff aside and bond as a team, play as a team, and all that stuff.
From JMT, with Koivu being the current captain, who's the next captain? Dumba, Cunnin, who?
I mean, I would pick Spurgeon.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. From Luke Reachins, is it accurate to say that Dubnyk is the biggest X factor for the Wild this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's several X factors. I mean, to me, 2 or 3 of their young guys have to become really productive players this year between Fiala, Donato, Cunnin, Greenway, and Eck. But absolutely, it's funny. I mean, you look at Dubnyk's numbers, and it just seems like he always has one bad month. Every year, one bad month. Last year, it was in the middle of November. I think Tony wrote about that for us too. Everything was going great, and Tom Wilson comes right through the crease, hits him, and all of a sudden, it's like a different human being the next month. So. They absolutely need him to be good. He's looked good early in camp. He spent all summer here. So that's that. I think that it shows that he's. I mean, there were other reasons why he spent all summer here from a personal standpoint with his family, but I think that that's a good thing. He was at the gym every day.